Welcome to all of my lovely HP community members. We are going to begin today with talk. Let's talk about being present in your relationships and how that means you and the emotional depth of you being available. So you are here when you have a securely attached body and therefore you're mindfully living with depth. That means that your third eye is not blocked and that you and your body are friends. And so you contain all the sensations that arise and you do have an open heart. If you have the I don't want to forgive my family yet, you're still on a journey. When you are ready to feel an open heart, that's the compassion part. That's where you're going to really begin to experience mindful living and that true spirituality journey for the ones of you who are spiritual and the 5D mystics. Okay, so no competitions going on, but open hearts. I learned it from Jesus, and then I got to have a relationship with my body, and I have a integrated brain. So I have a differentiated self. She's a 3-year old and a 1-year old, and no rupture. Okay, so no breakage. This is why I don't shame people. The ones who want to, they are still non bilaterally integrated. So when you're actively, these are the cards that came out today. We have a lovely new moon, if I remember correctly. So when we're actively embodying that humanity that each of us can have, and there's our angelic frequency, because you're back online with your entirety, that integrated brain. You can speak your truth, this lovely matrix. We don't do any of the conspiracy stuff. We know the earth is round. We leave it alone. We leave the moon alone. Okay? That's where enlightenment, soul age group, science, and spirituality come together. So, our lovely Gaia gateway activation, learning experiences, wisdom transmission, earth intelligence. In case you don't tune into our other episodes, I integrate science and spirituality and spiritual. My spirituality stuff comes from Sadhguru, my spiritual from my own experiences, esotericism, metaphysics. I don't get in depth detailed on any of it. You're just going to hear my stories, and the physical, a bunch of beautiful subject matter experts. I would not be able to do any of what I'm doing without having gone to college, my bachelor's, my master's, and then continued with my online marketing and entrepreneurship career, and then with the mental health community, making available courses and mindfulness. So a bunch of different lists of courses, certificates that I can share with any of you when and or if you're interested for yourself and or you're just curious. Ask away. Okay, at the end of the day, though, the basic of what I give you is something that I've experienced. It's called inner growth mindset. I began writing a book. You can put into practice. Now that I know the body, I know how to actively allow those who are here with secure attachment to continue living deeply. Okay, so the groups who still need to forgive their own home, household, and their own big trauma, small trauma, they're not ready for mindful living. And the mindfulness practices, if they're not aware of their body, that's why the neuroscientists that they say don't meditate, or anybody who criticizes yoga and talks about demons coming out of you, no, that's the part of where your body is a scorecard for some. For Bezel, it keeps the score. I like to use bezels. It keeps the score. And Lee says the brain keeps the count. Your left mode, the ego on this side is how I say it. The self on the right side, because that's where your inner child is at and your body. Okay, so when you are present, which is what mindful living is, you don't sound like a soft-spoken human being. You're like a sad guru. You're full of life because your prefrontal cortex is down, locked in, and loaded. If you talk about sadness like laundry, there's a Zen master out there. It means his emotional body is not deep yet. So when he gets sad, he's ruminating or he is suffering in a way of using his temporal junction. So his biochemistry is in one that has not expanded the window tolerance. He could use more mindfulness practices versus talking about no person being able to be in the enlightenment soul age group or always enlightened. Yes, we can. It's called a vibe because you're consciously there, open heart, open mind, and there's your alignment. Okay, the inner harmony of a safe mind and body. This is where I'm at and where I come from and how I share to you why practices of self-help help people. It's the ones who want to do emotions. Your relationships, it's when you're present that you are actively curious, open, accepting, and loving, which I've learned from Dr. Daniel Siegel. And that's because you're, again, in a physiological state of compassion. So that is social engagement on, ventral vagal state, prefrontal cortex on. And I'm not judging you, and I'm not with low self-esteem. I look in your eyes. I have no trauma charges or low self-esteem or trust break, I'm not ashamed of Maria, and I know how to self-regulate, so I won't be triggerable. And when you are in a Cusco attitude, I will be a Pacha. That's how we talk about those who don't know how to be in the 5D collective yet. Okay, so it's not a special anything. It's simply put, restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating people who enjoy mindfulness living, mindfulness practices, mindset, and then to have actual in-depth emotional experiences. And I say actual because we see a lot of people prancing around with their ideas of what is a power couple. So we're going to leave that one alone. Okay, so once you have the prefrontal cortex on, now you're mindfully aware. So once you're focused on your breath, awareness then comes up, and that's maximum uncertainty. And the inner growth mindset gets you to look into the thoughts and emotions of what's going on when unknowns, unexpecteds, unwanteds come about, the main modules. So you're using your heart, open heart, and going with the flow, your flow. Okay, now with that, you are an actively present human being with an open heart. Okay, so we're going to move from this, and I'm going to use the book to continue. So, open heart, open mind, inner harmony, the safe mind and body. So, your divine feminine and divine masculine is what I call this. Then the left we call the masculine and ego, and the right we'll call the feminine and the self. These are not set rules. It's how I'm going to organize material. And for those of you who will become regular listeners, you'll see me explain again because we always have some new ones coming about. But I will also eventually probably stop completely because we switch up topics as we move forward. Okay, with that being said, you know when your heart's open because you're having a good time. And you know when you're closing it also because you would choose that, which you don't choose if you're actively in relationship as a person who has self-empowerment and enlightenment and confidence. So you have healthy self-worth. It means as a polyamory person, I'm a solo poly, people don't always know what it is. So we get a lot of comments between comedians who call us whores, people on screen telling their husbands that they're unfaithful for porn, and using the word polyamory. And I'm like, one, that polyamory doesn't equate porn. Really, you want to talk about maybe polygamy, but even then, still, we're not unfaithful. It's called consensual non-monogamy. So, you know, people don't actively care to just say we don't like it, and they use words in ways that are going to be calling to their community. But I laugh because whenever I've met people who have some comments to make, I have healthy self worth. So one of them, oh, this was hilarious because the person said, "But polyamory, they're all masochists," and I said, "Not the healthy self worth ones. We don't do masochism because we treat our body with very much respect. Don't you touch me with anything. I like to be in my restorative embodiment. I don't want to be in my sympathetic. I don't want to be in an on off. That's going to be distress." Okay, so there's actively ways that a body in its restorative embodiment will know of ease. Anything that is emotionally, no, anything that's physically harmful to me is going to make my physical body say, get the fuck away. So I'm just saying there's clarity of words versus using them in the absence of knowing what it is like to treat your body with complete respect. And it's not an extreme with nutrition or whatever, you know, because I see people doing extremes. You know and learn what your body is good with and what it's not. And again, it's a journey to bring yourself back home to this homeostasis. For some people, it won't be this lifetime. It's not because they don't have options, it's that they will have hell, self loathing, gut wrench. And so, to get out of the maladaptive child pattern behaviors, which can involve drugs, alcohol, fucking, cutting, who knows, just torture chamber stuff. There's so many different ways that people actively don't move towards what their body is wanting to move them towards. But that's the part of why there's different groups. So somatic therapists are really great. They're the ones who explain to me how dysregulated and modulated embodied individuals first need to be in therapy for quite some time. Once their body is safe enough, and here's where Peter Levine explains it, it's when you can contain what comes up. So it's once you can contain it, then you're present, then you're able to, again, be a person who's ready for those next steps. So mindfulness, meditation, yoga. A person who's unaware of who they are from their body, and that means they don't know the psychoeducation, a bit of just what I shared in jumbled ways, but still, it's going to be a person who will have something come up. And if they have a practitioner who's uninformed, which I've noticed a lot of mindfulness practitioners are, even in my courses, the individuals disregarded all of that which we were learning about the body and the importance of the time it takes. They actively wanted shortcuts. In courses where it was explained, there's no shortcuts. Your brain actively has a process to integrate, which is why some therapists are saying we're going to not make you do any integration necessarily, because you're going to take your time, however long it takes. We're here for you. The person needs to want to heal, which is why it's a journey. You don't impose it on anyone, and that's exactly where we are at in this moment in time. It's also why I understand that invisible balance as a, again, mystic. It's something I don't enjoy thinking about, because it's accepting that some people will consistently live a life of suffering, even though they will not think so, because they will have solace, because they will have their group leaders who tell them that they're living the highlight of their life. And yeah, that's how it works. 6 to 8 weeks for new synapses to connect and to be created. And then it takes the new neurons from the synapses to grow or lay down myelin. So there's a whole process of when you're healing. And this is from Dr. Daniel Siegel. And then you also have a time where you're a little bit wonky. Okay, that's where the person who is given the information with a good therapist will then be able to evaluate. And then if they do want to heal, they'll keep going to therapy and they will be able to get healed. Like the DID lady, I got to have a course with a woman who is healed from dissociative identity disorder. She's writing a book. I can't wait to read it. And Disorganized Attachment is the course from Mindsight Institute with Dr. Daniel Siegel. And that's where I found out about the 6 to 8 weeks. And it took 6 to 7 years for her consciousness barriers and memory barriers to come down all on her own. And she was happy with therapy with Dr. Dan. She began it for her own reasons. And again, she is writing a book and she's a therapist, healed one. So there's, to me, bad therapists, unhealed ones. But as I was saying, there's solace for those bodies who are not engaging in a healing journey, because they'll say, I find it hard to believe that my first 2 years of life mean anything. So they don't believe that their implicit memory means anything. That's because these pieces of information are new. And when I see mindfulness and mystic practitioners, holistic, not integrated, and actively say things like, don't go to the therapist, come to me. No. Tarot readers, come to me, don't go to therapy. Again, no, that's not, you don't want to do that. That's very unnecessary. But when we see therapists say, you shouldn't do mindfulness meditation, no. Okay, so the shouldn't, couldn't, wouldn't. Anyone who's a grown up, and that means a mentally, emotionally, and physically intelligent person, will give you your options. They will actively not tell you about one group or another group. They will talk to you about preferences. You'll notice the difference if you're already an open-minded person. If you're a person who's not there yet, well, I'm an open-minded person, and we don't go around shaming people, but we also don't go around saying that you cannot move into your human love body. You can, with the will to heal. And when you're ready to do what Jesus taught me, to forgive the home, the people, whatever it is, then you'll probably enjoy and resonate with what I like to share. And I don't do it with dictionaries, by the way. So yeah, that's the other part. Left brainers alone, they will pick at words and then they'll try that. You're talking over me. Shut the left up, shut your right up, and just listen to another person's food for thought. You don't have to be here actively. You could go do it yourself. So there's plenty of different types of people out there. But vulnerability. I am good with being vulnerable with my loved ones. I'm not vulnerable with anybody who's a stranger. And I am, though, able to be myself openly without giving two shits of what a stranger is going to think about me, because a stranger is a stranger, and I'm not here to impress anyone. You know? Okay, so impressing people is not what people who care about what they do. We care about what we do. I'm here to share how to be yourself in an empowered way and how to love. And it's not perfection. No, it's imperfection and flaws, but with integrity. And so When you're able to be present in your relationships, it's I tell you shit in your face, not behind your back, and I don't make compromises where I don't want to, because there are some things that are not compromisable by my heart body, value body, mental, emotion, physical, but there are others. Okay, so love is number one. I accept, respect, and love you just the way you are. I don't have you working for love. That's ridiculous. And you have your moods, but do not bring me humbug because you know how to regulate your nervous system. So, bringing moods means that you are not an individual who is looking to be mindfully aware with the thoughts and emotions and to regulate. Functional adults know how to regulate, so they don't project. Okay? So, we all have emotions. Being vulnerable means that I talk. There are people who go to therapists with their partners. They don't want to be vulnerable. I'm here saying we are vulnerable because we're open hearted, the mindfully living. 5D mystics and 5D functional adults. The 5D again, Christ consciousness, forgiveness, integration. So you're ready and here, okay, as we move forward, and we'll close on out shortly because we have another couple episodes I want to get to, and I have a channeled guidance for our lovely new moon. So when it comes to people, internal attachment healing is needed for the heart of secure functioning to become possible and then take root in our relationships. Even in the most remarkably secure relationships, being together forever is not a given. This is polysecure. It's really good for any of you who are polyamory and securely attached. The same, because you don't have to be polyamory, but it's a good book that explains to you about attachment styles she uses. But again, it's a good read. And no, I actively do not agree with a sentence that she poses where she feels that all people or more people should be polyamory because it would help them to get to secure attachment. You get to secure attachment because you choose to be an emotionally and mentally mature human being, and it's first of all because you have a love affair with your inner world. And that's because you want to share with the world who you are. So that's number one. It's not about loving more people actively. People who don't have secure attachment, who don't know how to be their self openly, they definitely don't know how to. They don't know how to do polyamory relationships without suffering more, which is why when people say the masochists, no, again, healthy self worth people, we don't, but we also don't impose on others. So if I'm with a monoamory person, that's cool because they're cool with polyamory. It's not you have to love the way I love, or getting into a fight about something. It's we talk very passionately, very emotionally, but again, it's a conversation. So emotionally mature people are able to be present in their relationships, and that's because they have emotional depth and being mindful and having the capacity to be a 5D mystic. You will be in the depths of your own emotional plane. So here we go. Your lives might still take you in different directions. Partners can die. Even when partners are actively involved with you, it's unrealistic to expect them to be there for you every time you are in need. Active. I learned that when I was a kid in general. You can't be around me 24/7. So when we are relating from attachment and security, we can easily put too much onto our partners and often unconsciously. Okay, so when people are not securely attached internally, they're not able to be an open heart. When you are instead open hearted, you are grounded in reality. So, for example, for me, it was there's 24 hours. I'm working, others are working, people are busy. Anyone who's not able to be there, it's because they're busy. And I don't project and weigh them down and then be upset at them because and say they don't love me. Okay, so there's grown women and men that they actively do this stuff and they think relationships are hard work. They're not. Get emotionally mature, get earned secure attachment with your 1 year old, watch your relationships not be hard at all. Do you trust that your partners or partner will be available and responsive if and when you need them? Okay, so trust, this involves that open heart and that prefrontal cortex down because presence, attunement, resonance, trust. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. That means I'm curious, open, accepting, loving. I have no low self esteem. I do not project to you. I come talk to you about my deep emotional insecurities, fears, whatever it is, to have a conversation and my thoughts. And as functional adults, we work it out and talk about that. So being present is not just putting your phone down for a few minutes. It is a way of being from interaction to interaction where you consciously inhabit your own body and show up with the best of your attention, offering your presence as a gift. And the reality is, we gift each other this presence. Again, mindful living, presence. Your prefrontal cortex is on. This is what it actively will mean. So I am focusing my attention on breath, and then I can silence the left, and my body is at ease. But that's the part of where we're now in awareness, which if you have any of stuff lingering and it has not been addressed, that's what's going to come up. And that's why not everybody is ready for mindfulness without at least knowing about the body, and then knowing why therapy is important so that you can expand your window of tolerance, and to have that happening always where you are grounded in your prefrontal cortex. Otherwise, you're not present. And then you're going to re traumatize because you'll be in structural dissociation or you'll be out of body. You don't want to do that. That actively will keep you stalling and will re traumatize. So, human beings who don't have knowledge in their knowledge bank, they speak a lot of words without the skeleton. I'm giving you the skeleton. You don't have to believe it. I'm not the one who's making this shit up. I'm taking the courses. I've taken the courses. You can ask questions. And the reason I present this is because you have found it hard to believe. Anytime you give them the skeleton of what's beneath the surface, and you're saying, okay, you do mindful here. Here's how you actively put it into practice. No, I don't believe that. I just explained it to you. How do you not believe it? So, openly being yourself. Easy, check. Being able to be vulnerable, check. Being able to have emotional depth, check. And that's when you're going to be present in your relationships and build truly long-lasting relationships. And they're easy, not hard. This is why we don't chase or run our twin flames about all that bullshit story. And we're going to talk about that one in our next episode. And so, looking forward for you to come on back. If you have questions, let me know. You can like, share, and subscribe. If you know people who do want to move forward with their mindfulness, self-help practices, with their mindset and mindsight, with an open heart, and who are good with a 5D mystic and spiritual integrated information, I do love it. And as we move forward again, I will be gradually just keeping it up with the cards. I have all my cards here. And I look forward again. Thank you for stopping by. You're all a gift. We get to gift each other this thing called life. And when you do have a person who is able to be emotionally deep with their self, this is one of the biggest smiles. When a feminine, divine feminine is connected to lovely consciousness, creator, its essence of love and life. And when somebody's claimed their inner child and they've become an adult, and so they are open-heartedly sharing who they are, it is the most amazing gift of all. And you'll always smile. And then we smile even for the ones who they stay stagnating in different spots. But it's okay because they found the one. They found the one for them. They found what they were looking for. We'll be back in the other episode. I'll share with you a couple of stories about that. So thanks for stopping by again. See you soon.